Hello and welcome into the newest episode of Pat's Latest. I'm your host, Mike Gambardella, and on today's episode, we talk about the Patriots potentially acquiring a wide receiver from the Baltimore Ravens, if that means there is potentially another wideout on the way, and why the NFL media landscape is suddenly against Drake May. Before we get into everything, make sure you go down and subscribe for the channel, get in the comments, and let us know what you think about the Patriots wide receiver situation right now and what you think about Drake May and his progression into year 2 in the NFL. Make sure you give us a like if you like what you hear, and please plan to go back and check out all of our old episodes once you finish up today. We start indeed with Rashad Bateman, who apparently the Patriots were in on potentially bringing into New England. What has happened is that the Baltimore Ravens have signed Rashad Bateman to a 3-year, $36.75 million deal. The Patriots reportedly called in on him for a potential trade just before the Ravens actually signed him to this deal. What actually shook out was that Bateman had proposed a new deal for the Ravens, and Baltimore pretty much said no. At that point, they gave Bateman permission to seek a trade, and the Patriots were one of several identified teams to be in on Bateman. Now, trade compensation was not discussed, so we won't get too far into what that potentially could have been, second, third round, or anything of that nature. But the Patriots, along with the Cowboys and the Packers, were involved, at least at the start of the process, of saying that they had interest in Rashad Bateman. The Ravens saw that there was actually a market for Rashad Bateman and decided to give him that new deal. Now, where that really kind of falls and how this actually played out is up for debate. Jeremy Fowler gave us this information about how this played for the Baltimore Ravens. What we know from the Patriots side is that they are still looking at building out this wide receiver room. Now, a lot of people want to keep talking about the additions of Mac Hollins and Stephon Diggs, and could a undrafted rookie free agent like Efton Chisholm crack the rotation? I think this unfortunately speaks not well for players like Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, who had draft capital, second and fourth round respectively, put into them. At this point, it is not looking good. And what this additionally could mean is that there could be another wide receiver on their route to the New England Patriots. If you look at what is still out there, Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper continue to be the top free agent wide receivers out there. I don't believe Keenan Allen to be a fit or likely player to come to New England. I think he either ends up probably Los Angeles or the Chicago Bears, the two teams he has played for previously, at the top of that list, and the guy who's going to play it out smartly and wait for the right situation to arise. For me, Amari Cooper could really be that guy where you can give a 1-year deal, a prove it deal, a exorbitant amount to some. If you could say a $20 million deal, just to say, hey, let's go. If you put him out there to say, we have that another boundary wide receiver that we know at least has put a lot of film on tape, that you're comfortable doing that. And if you look at it with Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper, the next two available for me would be DJ Chark and Allen Robinson. That is a pretty steep drop off, talking about the top two to the next two. And that's not even to say, if you go to Spotrac right now, Gabe Davis, Nelson Aguilar, Tyler Boyd would be those next three options in there. And for me, that does not line up for what Josh McDaniels or Mike Vrabel would be looking for in this offense as currently constructed. But I still do not think that should stop the New England Patriots from at least making the ass about what these free agents have in store. We're seeing many free agents start to judge how they're seeing voluntary OTAs go. And before they get into training camp officially, Nick Chubb appears done in Cleveland and ready to potentially sign with the Houston Texans as early as today. So don't be surprised to see some familiar faces in new places very, very soon. We finish up today flipping the script a little bit, and very surprising to see PFF, a reputable brand, put such disrespect on Drake May. They ranked him as the 22nd overall quarterback. Now, again, a guy who played for the 30th ranked team in the NFL, if you want to say it that way, uh, getting bumped up to 22. But if you look at these rankings, they have J.J. McCarthy, who has not played an NFL game, already ranked ahead of Drake May. And I think that gives me pause right away. Um, if you look at the AFC as a whole, I think there's a top six for me, if no particular order, would be, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Herbert, and Stroud. And I know Stroud has his detractors after not living up to that first year hype, but for me, that kind of puts it right there. There's your top six. And you could say Drake May is a top seven quarterback in the AFC. And again, you can make a case for other guys being there as well. Now, the NFC, I think, while lacking top end talent, there's a glut of mid range guys. And looking at Jaden Daniels and Hurts and Goff and Love and Baker, Stafford, Kyler, Purdy, and even wanting to put Caleb Williams, who, from last year, the number one overall pick and a ton of pedigree, fine. You want to put him in there as well. That pushes Drake May down to 16. That is a far cry from 22. Now, to get him down further, you would have to make cases for players like Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Bo Nix, who did make the playoffs last year as a rookie quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, who's had his injury questions, Trevor Lawrence, who has a lot to prove but a new head coach, or should you go the Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson way? Again, that's a lot of players and a lot of question marks to push Drake May all the way down. And for me, I don't even include JJ McCarthy in this discussion quite yet. It is very surprising. But again, I think it goes to show that while there are very high expectations around Drake May, there needs to be a realization that this is a guy who will now be in his second year, did not play the entire season as a rookie, and has a lot to actually put out there. On the flip side, Mike Vrabel absolutely believes in Drake May, and do not be surprised to see that C up on his chest very, very soon. I think Mike Vrabel sees Drake May as a leader. Several media members noted how he's actually running drills, putting Drake May right at the forefront, making his voice the loudest, getting people to respond using his own cadence, having his voice be almost as synonymous as Vrabel's is throughout the practices. And that's only done when a head coach truly believes that he has a quarterback that can go out and execute his vision. And Drake May, from all accounts and intents and purposes, is ready to do that and become the guy for the New England Patriots. There is a lot of hype there, but it is now unfounded, I think is probably the best way to say. And the more people buy in, the more opportunity he will have. And I think if you look back to the Joe Milton trade, there was a reason why that was made. It was not for the lack of talent. Joe Milton has a ton of that, but I think Joe Milton has the ability to grow, and he's a guy that could potentially push Drake May. Now, not to say that is in the same stratosphere, but a guy who's going to say, when's my opportunity? Push, 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 push. Josh Dobbs coming in as the backup quarterback knows his role and will play that at a very professional level. That shows the Joe Milton trade was done to take further pressure off of Drake May to show that you are the guy, you are our leader, you will be the one to take us to the promised land. And for the Patriots right now, that is to make the playoffs. Yes, you can keep the Buffalo Bills in the sights as potentially going after for the AFC East and eventually returning that crown. But right now, it is get back to the playoffs. It is all up to Drake May, and the Patriots will go as far as he can take them in 2025. That'll do it for us here on this episode of Pat's Latest. Again, make sure you get down and subscribe for the channel. Get in the comments and let us know what you think about the wide receiver room and what Drake May will do in his second season. Make sure you give us a like if you've liked what you heard, and go back and check out all of our old episodes to get caught up on everything New England Patriots. Fight on, Foxborough.